As we know, prayer is an opportunity for us to communicate with God, our Father. It's relational communication. And while it may seem like, hey, this is just something natural that we have because, we're children of God and we always want to pray. But that's not always the case. And that is why we find in Scripture that there are commandments to pray. The writers of Scripture, even Jesus himself, commands us to pray. And in different areas with different opportunities, we are commanded to pray. Now, Jesus, first of all, we know Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 through 11, it says, ask, and literally, ask and keep on asking, and it'll be given to you. Seek and keep on seeking, and you will find. Knock and keep on knocking, and it'll be opened to you. And he goes on to say here, for everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks it will be opened. Or which one of you, if his son asks him for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a serpent? Or if you then who are evil know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? And so that is one area that we see that we are commanded to pray. Jesus commands us to pray. And even in that commandment to prayer, we also see that there should be something within our heart in which we want to pray as well. With some other commandments to pray in Scripture, one of the most famous ones in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 17, 16, rejoice always. And it goes on to say, pray without ceasing. And also in Ephesians 6:18, the Apostle Paul said this, pray at all times, making supplication for all the saints. We're going to see that quite often in these commandments of Scripture to pray, to not only pray for certain individuals, but pray especially for all Christians. And I'm thinking especially for those within our local church. We have, as humans, we often are anxious. And so Paul also said, Philippians 4:6, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, let your requests be made known to God. Paul also said, Romans 12:12, be constant in prayer. He also said in 1 Timothy 2:1, I urge that all supplication, prayers, intercessions, different types of prayers be made for all people. And then he specifies even closer, for kings and for all who are in authority. Not necessarily Christians, but those who are in authority over us. He also said this as well in Colossians 4:2, that we are to pray for church leaders, that God may open up doors of opportunity to proclaim the gospel for ministry opportunities. James said this, the half-brother of Jesus, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God. Ask God if you lack wisdom, especially in correlation when you're going through trials, when you're going through difficulty. Ask God for the wisdom. You're commanded to ask God for the wisdom and how to handle that situation. He also said that we are, in James 5:16, that we are to pray for one another. One of the one another commandments is to pray for one another. Jesus also said, when he gave the parable about the persistent widow, before he gave it, he said this, that we are to always pray and do not lose heart. That is, often we don't have an answer to our prayers right away. And it may actually be a long time, but he says, keep on praying. Keep on praying. He also said, Mark 13:33, concerning the Lord's coming, that we are to be on guard, that we are to keep awake and to pray. For you do not know the hour in which he, that is Jesus, the Son of Man, will come for his second coming. So I want to encourage you, yes, we have such a wonderful opportunity to communicate with the God of heaven, with our heavenly and holy Father. But we're also commanded to pray. He wants us to pray, and he commands us to pray. So I want to encourage you, if you are not praying on a regular basis, you're missing out on such a great opportunity. But not only an opportunity, it is sinful not to pray as a Christian. Thank you for joining me.